This is Jesse Austin with my co-host Carla Lenk with another episode of Community Business Matters. This month we have as our guest Angel Whitehead, who's the president of Heart of Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce. And one primary reason we wanted to have her on our show this month was to talk about many of the services and resources that are available through them for small business people, entrepreneurs, potential entrepreneurs as well. And so we'll get started by just simply welcoming you to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay. So perhaps just for the benefit of our audience who, for some reason, might not know anything about the Heart of Wisconsin, perhaps you could give them a little background on what it is that the organization is about and what it does.
Sure. So the Heart of Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce essentially is the chamber for the greater Wood County area, we like to say. So we service Wisconsin Rapids, Grand Rapids, Nakusa, Saratoga, and all the surrounding townships, even into part of Adams County as well. So we are a membership organization. So we facilitate services that are quality of life pieces, economic development, and we also do some workforce development as well. So we help service those members, but we also service the greater community as well. So a lot of these resources are free to our community. So that's kind of sums up what our chamber does.
Okay. And so, Carla, you're familiar with workforce development. Do you have any thoughts about any questions for Angel?
Well, of course, small business is the key word that runs the engine of the U.S. economy, as we used to say. And small business needs as much guidance and resources as you can pull together for it. It is something that many people do not understand, but they have this idea, and so they're going to go full force into it, sometimes putting all their assets and resources that they do have on the line and not even realizing it. Mm-hmm. So I think the chamber's part could be a little bit of just bringing reality into the whole thing, and connecting with resources that are in the area, such as SCORE, which I'm a member of, and the other one is the Small Business Development Center, which is part of Wood County also, and making sure that there are resources such as accountants and lawyers and other people that would be able to take what they have and their idea and see if they can flesh it out.
Mm-hmm. And we actually, on many occasions, I meet and have one-on-ones with entrepreneurs. They'll come in and say, hey, I have this idea. What can I do with this idea? I don't know where to start. And so I have that one-on-one with them, and I say, okay, so here are the resources we have. We always refer them to SCORE to help with that business planning, and the SBDC with Melissa Meschke, of course. We also use CAP Services as a tool, even though they're based out of the Stevens Point area. They still help service and are starting to get down in this area a little bit more. So they have some broader resources that are great for entrepreneurs.
Well, they have the funding.
And they have some additional funding that maybe some of the other organizations aren't able to offer. But we love to meet with entrepreneurs one-on-one just to kind of walk them through that process. We have people come in with the napkin idea, and then we have some people that come in with a full business plan looking for additional funding. And at the chamber, we also do a revolving loan fund that is offered to some of these small businesses to help them get started, which it's a great asset that we love to offer as the chamber. So we definitely love resources and to provide those resources. So if I encourage anyone, if they are a great resource and we currently aren't referring people to you, stop by and drop off some information so we can give you to those entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. And I know that from personal experience, I know that you have it's like a small business workshop. It goes over several days or several evenings where a variety of individuals will come in and help people who have that idea for a business but have not yet fully developed a business plan or something of that nature?
Yeah, so previously in other years we had a program that was kind of like that. What we moved to, because people's time is so crunched nowadays between kids, homes, and jobs beyond just starting a new business, we've partnered with the SBDC to hold sessions that are just for a few hours during the morning. So these sessions are QuickBooks training, succession planning for the future, how to market your brand better. So all of these little things that entrepreneurs may not think about right away, but they can come back after they've started their business to kind of keep gaining that resource and that momentum to keep their business going.
And a vital fact to remember is that the cost for these services that you provide
Are free. Are free. Of course, the loan part isn't free. But yeah, all of our services are free. When you sit down with me, that's a free service. When we refer you to SCORE or the SBDC or CAP services, a lot of those services are free as well. So I encourage you, if you have a great idea that you haven't seen in the Wisconsin Rapids area, even Nakusa, please come to our office and we'd be happy to walk you through that process.
So, you've described the fact that the heart of Wisconsin as a Chamber of Commerce. Of course, you have a full plate of things going on here, because you're not only working with the small business person who we're trying to communicate with here, but also with the broad range of businesses within the area. Can you talk a little bit more about just the overall focus of the heart of Wisconsin?
Sure. So this year for 2019, our overall goal, is to kind of be more advocates for business. So we want to have more one-on-one sessions with business owners, do some business retention and expansion visits to see what their needs and their wants are for the area, and to really help, because as we know, there's a talent shortage, not just in our area, but of course in Wisconsin. So we want to help address those issues. So we really want to be more of engaging in that portion of it. We do wonderful quality of life events which bring talent to the area, so of course we want to keep facilitating those and growing and expanding those, but we want to see what other needs the community has, and the members that we have, what those needs are, because those needs are what are driving us, and we want to continue to keep these businesses being very successful and expanding and starting groundbreakings and items like that. So we definitely want to make sure that if there are any issues or anything we can assist with or support, that we get that conversation started with those larger businesses.
Okay. When you spoke about the quality of life events, were you speaking of things like the Nakusa Easter, or
yeah, so
Lunch by the River, which we have here in Wisconsin?
Yeah, so we have a lot of events. We just finished up our Mardi Gras Business and Job Fair Expo, where vendors came in and then people could either look to see if they were hiring or just to get basic knowledge on the businesses and organizations in the area. Our Nakusa Easter is just around the corner, so definitely check our website for that, as that's a highly attended event. There's a run, there's meeting the Easter Bunny, of course, and an egg hunt. We also have our Summer Hummer golf outing coming up, and this year it's actually our lucky Summer Hummer, as it's remembering one of our ambassadors that previously just passed away. So we do a lot of different events to provide that quality of life. The Grand Affair that happens in the fall, the Cranberry Blossom Festival that we partner with the local Visitors Bureau with. So just those things that want to keep people engaged in the community. So those quality of life pieces are very important to keeping talent and attracting talent to the area.
And wouldn't they also provide an opportunity for again, we're talking about our small business
Of
people
course,
here.
yes.
Would those provide opportunities for some exposure or promotion for them?
Certainly, yeah. So at specifically our golf outing that's coming up, there's sponsorship opportunities where they can, a business can send someone to be a hole sponsor, and they sit on that hole all day, and every golf group that comes in, they get to either play games with them, network one-on-one, swap information. There's always cute little games that the businesses play. So really getting that network engaged. In some of our events, such as Grand Affair and the Cranberry Blossom Festival, people can be vendors at those, and we get hundreds and hundreds of people that attend that throughout the community. So again, another way some of these smaller businesses can sell their products, and sometimes we have vendors that are just there as a knowledge base to hand out information. So a really great way for small businesses to connect on a larger scale without having to, do a lot of traveling and have high expenses.
We've often talked with the other guests on previous episodes about the challenges that are faced by entrepreneurs or people who are just starting out in the business world. From your experience, what have you seen as being these particular challenges for people just starting out?
Sure. So some initial challenges, I think, is going back to kind of that resource section, is a person doesn't know necessarily where to start. They say, I have this great idea. I don't know if it's a great idea, and how do I get started? Do I have to go to the city? Do I need a permit right away? Do I start an LLC? What is an LLC? So we have, that large range of I don't know. So at the chamber, we try to help with that, of course. But that's usually kind of the first initial challenge that I think they have is, how do I get started? The other one that we oftentimes see when they're first starting out is, funding. Usually funding is difficult for some of the financial institutions because they want so much of those funds up front to make sure the business is going to be sustainable. So that's where, ourselves, that when we do revolving loan funds, helps that gap funding. Also CAP Services, SCORE, and SBDC, they also have some of that gap funding resources provided as well. So I think that's another initial, for entrepreneurs that have been in the business for some time, I think that sometimes what their challenge may be is, communicating and marketing themselves. I think oftentimes that we get a business going and then we get so involved in the day-to-day that we forget we need to keep reminding people we're here, we're thriving, and we're just providing business for the community. So I think always remembering to market ourselves is probably another big one that I see that some of the small businesses. Now you have some businesses that are just doing so well for themselves, like the Natural Family Food Store. They're fantastic. One of our chamber members, Cyber One Data, is doing very well.
We had on as a guest a few months ago, so I'm happy to hear that they're doing well.
Just met with him probably a week or so ago. So, small business is thriving right now, so it's always great to hear those success stories and see them continuing to grow in the community.
For the businesses that have been successful, these startups that have gone on to achieve success, what would you say are some of the keys to their success?
I think the biggest success that the biggest attribute to success that they have is planning. So having a business plan in place is key to making sure that you have the next 30, 60, 90 days, year, even 5 years out. What does that plan look like? A lot of these businesses that are very successful, they may start with just a year, but after that year, they're already starting to plan for the next few years. What kind of marketing do they want to do? Do they want to grow? What products do they want to offer? Do they need to change products? So as they're going through the plan that they have in place, they're always constantly assessing that plan. What's working, what's not working. And then also I think another thing that is crucial is being engaged in the community as well, because if you're not engaged in the community that you're doing business with, how do you expect community members to be engaged in your business? So a lot of businesses that go and participate in some of our larger festivals or do job fairs or business expos, things like that, they're out in the community, and the community can definitely see their face and see that, I definitely want to do business with these business owners and these individuals because they agree that the community is growing.
I'm glad you brought up the community aspect of it and the importance of community involvement by the business people. We're advocates, as you are, of buy local,
of course,
and which is why we have these entrepreneurs come on the program to promote their businesses. So, as you say, it's like a two-way street. Mm-hmm. You want business, but you want them to be out there also showing their support for for everything else that's going on in our area as well.
Yeah, and definitely us being the chamber entity for the area, we definitely believe in that. We believe that the community, we want them to be involved with our members and all the rest of the community, and we want our members to be involved in what we're doing that are community-based, and just getting out there and getting that exposure and just really being ingrained in the community makes you feel that ownership of, being proud of where you're from.
And while you were talking about business plans, I was looking at Carla because I know that she is.
That's my forte.
She's truly an advocate for.
Well, before you came, Melissa didn't really have a time. I'll be polite. Time to do business plans.
Oh.
So she'd send them over to me, and then I would do or help them. I don't do business plans. I drag them through the business plan. And some people do not have the ability to write, so I usually edit them and then send them back to wherever they're supposed to go.
Yeah.
Each of the staff that you have, like CAP Services or SBDC, they all have a finite amount of time and a finite amount of funding. So the business plan is really the entree into funding. And if they're going to go via banks, you may be aware that we only have 5 certified SBA banks in the area. So that hinders stuff too, and some are just small branches, so they are sent to Wausau. Now, do you want your loan to go to Wausau?
Probably not.
So that's a decision they have to make, but they're not. Some of the banks do not have the ability to make loans like that. So, also the other thing that I wanted to point out is like CAP Services does have. And SBDC does not have funding to put into a business. They can help you with resources, but they cannot fund anything. Neither can SCORE.
They're more of a counseling and mentoring service.
Right. Same thing, but they call it different. For years and years and years, we mentioned it was counseling, and all of a sudden, Washington, D.C. decided it should be mentoring. Same thing.
Same thing, different word.
Different wording. Sounds more sophisticated on the East Coast, I think. Anyway, so you have only a few people, such as the Chamber and CAP Services, that actually have monies, and different CAP Service has different pots of monies that they can draw from. So if a company needs to, perhaps they're going to diversify their market. Or they have an opportunity that they see within the area and they want to expand their business to take that opportunity. One of the things that they can do is provide gap funding that does not go into some of the other funds that they have. They have a fund for low-income poverty people that want to be in self-employed. They do work with DVR at times. DVR has also a small amount of money that they can put into a business. The problem with that is that they only have like $10,000, $15,000 that they will buy assets. And then you have to practically lay your life down on the line in order to get it. It's a very involved process. And that business plan is different than what you normally would want.
And I know that CAP Services also has SWED, which is CWED. It's a group of individuals that are under CAP Services that do business loaning and development funding. I encourage everyone to check them out because a lot of people don't know about them, and they have more substantial funding for small business. So
or
I would
big business.
Or big business, exactly.
Them do $300,000.
Yeah. So that's for the maybe a little bit more, people looking for a little bit more funding than just the basic gap funding at that point.
Basically, all I wanted to give our audience and you is knowledge that they do have different pots of money that they can very well use.
Yes, I encourage everyone to check out these resources we're talking about because they are great for anyone looking to start a business and kind of get that motion going, or even start understanding how small business gets started. So,
And usually, the one point that I always have to make is to teach the people I'm working with that want to start a business how business works.
yeah.
Because that's a little bit of, like, well, I've got this idea, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then I say, and how are you going to implement that? Or what are the trends that are coming up in technology that will make a difference? I had one client that did a lot of stuff by hand. She crafted many different things by hand, and it took her 2 to 3 months to finish what she was doing for one particular product.
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, what about 3D imaging? Huh? Oh my gosh. She said, could I afford that? I said, how can you not afford that? Look at the time that you're spending on this. So those are the types of things that they have to look at, and they're so immersed in this idea and where it's going to go and how it's going to cure all ills that they don't see what's in front of them.
Yeah, and when there's the mentoring going on, or when I meet with a potential new business, we do the think outside the box. This is a great idea. Have you thought about this? Have you looked at this other avenue? Because again, they're kind of stuck in that box that is
Right.
their idea, and they think it's a great idea. And a lot of the times, most of the ideas that come into our office at the chamber are fantastic ideas, but it's how are you going to execute it, and are there other ways to execute it better?
And do you have the intellectual knowledge in order to do it? You could have the idea, you see a need, but then you don't have the scientific background to do it, or you can't hire the people that you know can do it. I mean, all of those things are really essential to getting it successful.
For sure.
Well, Angel, you've shared a lot of valuable information with us today.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you joining us. Again, this is Angel Whitehead. She's the president of Heart of Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce. Had a great conversation, and if you would like to leave, we always refer to it as the elevator statement as to the Heart of Wisconsin and how you benefit small business people, entrepreneurs in this area.
Sure. So the Heart of Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce wholeheartedly believes in networking, empowering, and promoting local resources, people, and businesses in the community. So if you ever at any time need anything, we're the people you want to call to find those resources. And if you just want to check out our website, wisconsinrapidschamber.com, we have lots of resources for small business and entrepreneurs, and some of our local events as well.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Can I make one announcement?
Oh, sure.
SCORE and a lot of other different organizations are cooperating with the WIBIC group that has recently received a grant to veterans training for businesses. So it's called Boots to Business Reboot. It'll be May 10th. It's free. It'll be in the River Cities Community Center in Stevens Point on Windy Drive. It's just a block off of Highway 10. Its registrations are out there, and you can either call me or you can call SBDC and get the registration information. And it's a cap of 30 people, so.
Okay. Now we May 10th.
May 10th, and it's all day. It's from 8 to 4.
Okay.
And lunch is provided.
Okay. Thank you. That's very good information for our folks to
For
have.
veterans, it's veterans and spouses.
Okay.
So if you're the spouse of a veteran, he may be deceased or may be living. If she wants to go into business or he wants to go into business and they were married to someone in service, then they can come to the educational and day, and then also that there will be enough resources that they can follow up on it and how they can proceed from there.
Good. Okay. Well, on behalf of of Angel Whitehead of Harder, Wisconsin, and my co-host Carla Lenk. This is Jesse Austin, hoping that you'll join us next month for another episode of Community Business Matters.